Welcome, I'm Matt Yak Fishing. For those of you that may have just caught my goals and objectives for 2026 video, thanks for tuning into this one. In that video I talked about my goal of building a new kayak. I'm going to elaborate on that a little bit, and this video will become, Kayak Build Video 1. Again, you need to understand a little bit of the backstory so you can kind of understand where I'm going with this new kayak that's going to be built on this table. So a couple years ago when I decided I wanted to try kayak fishing, as I mentioned previously, found a great deal in the marketplace, picked it up, off and running I went. I was very adamant back then that I wanted a pedal drive kayak. So I'd look at, like I said, the marketplace, etc. Back in the day, we had Craigslist. I don't know if that's a thing anymore. And I would look for a used kayak, but it had to be pedal drive. And the reason I wanted a pedal drive is I thought it would be, one, it's somewhat more affordable, right? Like a regular paddle kayak would generally your most affordable. But as far as a propulsion system, the pedal drive is in between a traditional kayak and a motorized kayak. Additionally, I wanted a pedal drive kayak because, I am getting a little older. Probably need to exercise more. Probably need to be more active. And I thought, hey, what's a really great way to do something I love, which go fishing, and get a little bit of exercise at the same time. And it is. I mean, it's like pedaling a bicycle. So if you really want to go some distance, you're really exerting some effort. So it kind of checked that box, and it absolutely does. So I was glad for that. But going into that is 100% like my requirements were: needed to be affordable, had to be a pedal drive. So here we are today, and I'm absolutely in love with this kayak fishing. I want to build out a second kayak because that also will allow me to, take somebody with me. I'm struggling on the pedal part now. I'm not going to lie. Not that it should be a big deal, but Kansas is changing their laws or policies or whatever. Previously, if a kayak had an electric motor, technically even a gas motor, but basically any powered motor, you had to pay property taxes on it and nonsense like that. It's not much, right? It's not like I can't afford it. But it was just something I didn't want to have to really deal with. But Kansas is changing that law. I think it's actually, in fact, now we're going into 2026 tax season. You no longer have to pay taxes on it, which, whatever, it's fine. You still got to register it, put those stickers on the side, that sort of thing. And again, it's not a huge factor, but that played into it. The other, again, I'm also struggling with, if I get rid of the pedals and go with a powered kayak, that whole exercise aspect of it. It's still probably important for me to get that exercise. So, like I said, I'm struggling with it. I'm struggling on which way I want to go, because a power kayak would be pretty slick. There are a couple things about having a powered kayak. One is the spot lock technology. So I've been on a couple boats. For example, my dad's regular fishing boat, he has that electric motor with spot lock. Man, that is friggin' nice. I mean, you just put that boat where you want it, you hit that button, and it's, I assume it uses like GPS. It keeps you in that spot. And if the wind blows you to the right, the motor will automatically pull you back. It locks you on that spot. And in my current kayak, I do have an anchor. But yeah, sometimes when you get on top of fish, I have to kind of go back and forth over them if it's windy. I have to drop an anchor, and even with an anchor, you tend to sway. That spot lock is just so appealing. And the only way you'll get that is with an electric motor. Additionally, And this one somewhat pains me to say as an older fisherman, but man, that cheater box, that live scope is something else. And whether you call it the cheater box, some folks call it the fishing version of spotlighting. Whether it's the Humminbird model or the Garmin model, I lean towards the Garmin just because it's what I'm most familiar with. Again, because I've been on those boats that have it. I mean, that stuff's amazing. And holy cow, that would be cool to have. So then, yeah, the mind starts rolling. I'm envisioning nice kayak, spot lock technology, live scope, lights, LED lights. I mean, you can go really crazy. You can put a stereo in it and all that stuff, but I won't do that. Just I get out on the water to enjoy, getting away from, the noises. I still like being in nature, if I'm on a electric powered kayak or something like that. So that's kind of I'm still struggling if I'm going to go electric or not. But step one is I guess kind of plan that out. I'll have to make a decision, because that'll influence what brand model of kayak that I go get. There are some really great kayak shops around. Probably the first thing I'm going to do is, in particular, there's a really a kayak only fishing dealer shop at Lake the Ozarks, where I've never been there, but following their social media, it's essentially, they've got every model of every kayak just out on the floor. You can see them. I think really that's step one, is to go there and just check them all out. Once I make that decision on what kayak am I gonna get? Am I gonna go electric? Am I gonna stay with pedals or fins? Get it on this table and start building it out. Like I said, I want the challenge with true pedals is, if you recall from my fishing videos, those pedals are right in the middle of the kayak. They're right there. They're kind of in the way of putting anything across the front of a kayak. With a live scope, again, I think big. If you get a couple big, you need a couple big monitors. Where are you going to put those? I don't know if I want to hang them all off the sides of a kayak so I can have the space to pedal. A lot to think about, a lot to plan, a lot of decisions to be made. There's a brand of kayaks that you don't necessarily pedal, but you actually shuffle your feet and push paddles, or it's got fins or paddles under it. That might be an option if I want to stay with a manual powered kayak and still have, the live scope and that kind of stuff. Doing that, of course, you're going to eliminate the spot lock, which, I've talked to folks. My dad's one of them. He said if he had to give up one, he'd give up the cheater box before he'd give up his spot lock. So yeah, a lot of decisions to be made, a lot of investigating to do. And yeah, in some cases, I just got to come to Jesus on what I want to build. But this is where it's going to happen. Whatever this kayak is and whatever my plan is for it, it's going to get on this tabletop, and you're going to build it along with me. My ultimate goal is to build just a badass ass fishing kayak. I don't want to say known to man, because you can go online, you can check some of them out. I'm not exaggerating. They cost like 20 grand, but they got everything. They got subwoofers and the power poles. If you're unfamiliar with power poles, they're typically on the back of a boat or a kayak, and they're like fiberglass carbon. They kind of extend out like an umbrella pole, but you hit a magic button and they drop and they anchor you to the ground. I think some of them go 8, 10, 12 feet. But again, I wouldn't need those if I had a spot lock, something like that. But again, these really high end, we're talking tens of thousands kayaks, that they throw all that stuff on there. So I'm not going to say it's going to be the ultimate greatest in the country fishing kayak, but for me it's going to be just an absolutely killer fishing kayak. So that's my goal with that. Clearly you can see I'm pretty pumped about it, but the reality of it is it's going to take some time. It's going to take money. I'm going to have to sock away a little bit off of each check to get this thing built out, but I think it'll be fun to kind of create this series of videos. Hell, the first few videos, I may not have any kayak in front of me. It may be me at a dealership looking at various kayaks and maybe asking those of you following along at home, what are your thoughts? So yeah, I'm pretty pumped about it. Again, it's gonna take some time, but I'm excited. So I got to do that at the same time, getting out and doing some fishing and filming some videos and doing that sort of thing. So that's my goal. I would like to have the kayak built out by the end of 2026. That's my goal. You heard it here first. We'll see what happens. So this is video 1 of the kayak build. I appreciate everybody following along. Remember to like and subscribe, and we'll be talking to you soon. Take care.